come to order. Senator Jones, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Happy Sine Die Day, everyone. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Majors, please take the roll.
Aguilar, Balmer, Baumgartner, Brophy, Cadman, Crowder, Grantham, Guzman, Harvey, Heath, Herpin, Hill, Hill,
Excused.
Hodge, Hodge,
Excused.
John, Johnston, Jones, Kafalis, Kerr, King, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Newell, Newell,
Excused.
Nicholson, Renfro, Rivera, Roberts, Scheffel, Schwartz, Schwartz, Stedman, Stedman,
Excused.
Toptrop, Todd, Uleberry, Zenzinger, Madam President.
Here. With 31 present, 0 absent, 4 excused, the Senate has a quorum. Motion to adopt the journal. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the reading of the Journal of May 6 be dispensed with and the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary. Thank you.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Somebody? Anyone? Oh, thanks. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. That motion is adopted. Committee reports.
May 7, 2014, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1392 be postponed indefinitely.
Senate Services.
May 7, 2014, correctly re-engrossed Senate Bill 222, correctly revised House Bills 1001, 1369, 1375, 1377, 1391, 1393, 1395, and 1398. Correctly re-revised House Bills 1002, 1029, 1102, 1309, 1319, 1343, 1351, 1360, 1361, 1366, 1367, 1376, 1381, 1382, 1384, 1385, 1394, and 1396. Correctly enrolled Senate Bill 164.
Message from the House.
May 6, 2014, Madam President, the House has voted to recede from its position on Senate Joint Resolution 27 and has repassed the resolution. The resolution is returned herewith. The House has adopted and returns herewith Senate Joint Resolution 39. The House has voted to concur in Senate amendments to House Bills 1161, 1352, 1123, 1280, 1089, 1096, 1118, 1279, 1281, 1301, 1311, 1378, 1387, 1367, 1002, 1029, 1102, 1319, and has repassed the bills as so amended.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move a call of the Senate.
The call of the Senate has been moved and properly sustained. Would the sergeants please close the doors, allow no senators to leave, retrieve those who are missing? And Mr. Majors, would you please poll the senators?
Aguilar. Balmer. Baumgartner. Brophy. Cadman. Crowder. Grantham. Guzman. Harvey. Heath. Herpin. Hill. Hodge. John. Johnston. Jones. Cafalis. Kerr. King. Lambert. Lundberg. Marble. Newell. Nicholson. Renfro. Rivera. Roberts. Scheffel. Schwartz. Stedman. Talktrop.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the call be raised.
For the motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The call will be raised. Third reading of bills. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1001?
House Bill 1001 by Representative Singer and Senator Nicholson concerning the creation of a property tax reimbursement for a taxpayer that owes property tax on property that has been destroyed by a natural cause and in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Nicholson.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1001 on third reading and final passage. Ask for an aye vote, but first would like permission to offer a third reading amendment.
Senator Nicholson, please explain your request for permission.
The third reading amendment is L020, so 20, L20, and it is making technical changes to the proration language for clarity. It clarifies that all local taxing entities in a county are eligible for the reimbursement when the value of the property has been prorated due to destruction by a natural cause. Clarifies that after a county treasurer receives the reimbursement from the state treasurer, the county treasurer distributes the money to the local taxing entities and modifies the appropriation to reflect the reduced fiscal note. Originally, a fiscal note was approximately $2.2 million, and it's reduced now to around $1 million. It says at least $927,923.
Discussion on permission. Question is whether to grant Senator Nicholson permission to offer a third reading amendment. Are there any no votes? Senator Nicholson is granted permission. Mr. Majors, would you please read L020? Senator Nicholson, we don't have a copy of the amendment at the desk. Mr. Majors, please read L020.
Amendment L020 to House Bill
Senator
1001
Nicholson.
Thank you, Madam President. I did explain, but let me just briefly summarize.
Go ahead and move it, please.
The process was one that the county treasurers and the county assessors wanted to take a very careful look at to make sure that it aligned with their process and was workable. And these changes are to make sure that we're acknowledging the county assessor and the county treasurer's processes and something that's workable to them. Also, that they are assured that they receive the funds from the state before they forgive the taxes for the properties that were destroyed, and also modifies the appropriation to reflect the reduced fiscal note.
Senator Nicholson, I didn't catch you moving it.
I apologize. I move L020.
Any discussion on the amendment? Senator Sheffel.
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to make sure we're understanding this properly. As I understood, the provision that would allow the delay until the state made the backfill or the reimbursement, that was part of yesterday's amendments. And what you're adding today is other taxing entities, so the county portion was available for reimbursement, and I assume you're talking about special districts, municipalities. Is that what you're intended to cover when you're talking about other taxing entities?
Senator Nicholson.
Madam President, thank you. Actually, no, this was better language that clarified how we would be sure that all the taxing entities were able to receive, to be able to be backfilled. It really was some language that came from the treasurers and the assessors to make sure that we were acknowledging their own process. And so it's not a embellishment of what we did yesterday. It's more of a clarification of what we accomplished yesterday. The intention is exactly the same.
Any further discussion on L020? Question is its adoption. Are there any no votes on Amendment L020? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Amendment 20 is adopted. Back to the bill. Any further discussion on House Bill 1001? Question is its adoption. Are there any no votes on House Bill 1001? Senator Baumgartner, Senator Harvey, Senator Marble. With 32 ayes, 3 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1001 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Herpin, Senator Kafalis, Madam President Pro Tem, Senators Studman, Aguilar, Jones, Newell. Please add the President. Senator Schwartz, Senators King, Rivera, Todd. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1369?
House Bill 1369 by Representative Young and Senators Crowder and John concerning required licensure for durable medical equipment suppliers in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. We move 1369 for a third and final reading and ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Any discussion?
Thank you,
Question is the adoption of House Bill 1369. Are there any no votes? Senators Baumgartner, Marble, Lambert. Senator Shuffle. Senator Grantham. With 30 ayes, 5 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1369 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Toktrop, Senator Newell. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1375?
House Bill 1375 by Representative Del Grosso, Senators Toktrop and King concerning modifications to statutory provisions governing urban redevelopment to promote the equitable financial contribution among affected public bodies in connection with the tax increment financing of urban redevelopment projects.
Senator Toktrop.
Thank you, Madam President. We move 1375 on third reading and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Madam President. I would request permission for a third reading amendment.
Senator Johnston, why should we grant you permission to offer a third reading amendment?
Thank you, Madam President. So there were a couple of amendments I was prepared to offer on committee that we did not need to offer because the amendment that got on changed the bill significantly. When that was struck off on second reading, we looked through a number of the amendments which were substantive, and I deferred on offering any of those as I thought the will of the body was clear on that yesterday. There was one technical issue which was raised by bond counsel that is in the bill, which is the bill currently allows in open-ended ability to sue on the level of the municipal contribution of the tax increment financing without any time commitment on that. That means you could close a deal between a city and a county and an investor, and still 90 days, 180 days, 365 days later, someone could come back and sue on the initial terms of the deal, which I think will have a significant chilling effect on people's willingness to enter into those contracts. So this is a clarifying amendment that just simply says that any desire to sue on the contribution rates of those investments has to come in the first 30 days. I think there is concern that this bill as it stands will have a chilling effect on this industry. I think we want to at least make sure there's not unnecessary lawsuits after the deal is closed. So that's why I'd ask for third reading amendment on Amendment 31.
Any discussion on the question of permission? Senator, okay. Question for the body is whether or not to grant Senator Johnston permission on a third reading amendment. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Permission is granted. Mr. Majors, would you please read L031?
Amendment L031, House Bill 1375 by Senator Johnston, amend revised bill, page 5, line 16, after 9.5, insert A, page 5, strike line 24, and substitute subsection 1. The allocation required by this paragraph A may be...
Senator Johnston, you might want to stand on the other side of the podium again. Just suggestion. Just like out of reach there. Go ahead.
That's right. I'll stand on this side.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Thank you, Madam.
Go ahead and move your amendment.
I move Amendment 31 and ask for lenience from Senator Toktrop.
Senator Toktrop.
Thank you. I didn't think I was that scary, but apparently, I'm going to ask for a no vote. I think this is pretty substantial, and it never came up. Never came up when we were discussing this issue in committee, and I'm not an attorney, but when you're talking about that you're going to put such a tight time frame in for a district or somebody to look to sue, I just don't think this is right. And again, I'm going to ask for no vote on this because many times it takes longer to work through the plan, and I feel like that 30-day timeline would be used up before they would even have a chance to see what was going on. Again, I'm not an attorney and can't address it in the legal way, but again, I will ask for a no vote on L031.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask for an aye vote as well. I'm one of those who believes that we do need some tort reform in many ways where lawsuits are out of control, but this really looks like a punitive effort. The sponsor of the bill is quite correct that 30 days is a pretty quick timeline, and this strikes me as not a reasonable policy to put in place, but more like a poison pill to put on the bill itself. I recommend a no vote to the amendment because I do believe it's a good bill and will be voting for the bill. I want to keep the bill a good bill.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Madam President. We were just over in the House, and the House sponsor, Representative Del Grosso, had stopped us and had said, please support the amendment that is coming from Senator Johnston. So unfortunately, it sounds like he did not get to talk with the Senate sponsor on it. So I apologize for that, but that is the message that we were given from the originating House sponsor.
Senator King.
He specifically told us.
Senator King.
Thank you, President Carroll. Well, I'm sorry that he didn't get over, but we are still a no.
Senator Toktrop.
Thank you, and I'm hearing mixed messages. If this was such a good amendment, I understand what he's trying to do. It would have been vetted long before third reading in a second chamber to bring this issue forward. I talked to some of the folks that brought this bill forward, and they aren't very happy with this amendment. Again, I just asked for a no on the amendment and a yes vote on 1375.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Madam President, and I would echo at least the partial chorus of voting no on the proposed amendment. And what I would have to add to the discussion is that it is my understanding that once the bond is issued, has already been issued, nothing can be done to change that, and that trying to change that through a lawsuit would be a violation of the contract clause in the U.S. Constitution. So I think that suggests.
The question is the adoption of L031. Are there any no votes? Senator Balmer. Senator Toktrop. These are no votes on the amendment. Mr. Majority Leader. Senators Grantham, Roberts, Balmer, Crowder, Harvey, Brophy, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Senator King. Is that the back of Senator King's head? Senators King, Toktrop, Aguilar, Nicholson, Jones, Schwartz, Kafalas. Senator Aguilar, I've got you. Senator Renfro, please add the president. With 16 ayes, 19 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, L031 fails. We're back to the question of adoption of House Bill 1375. Any further discussion? Are there any no votes? Senators Baumgartner, Ulibarri, Johnston, Kerr, John, Zenzinger, Madam President Pro Tem, Senators Hodge, Todd, Rivera, Mr. Minority Leader, Senator Shuffle, Hill, Herpin. With 21 ayes, 14 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1375 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Crowder, Mr. Majority Leader, please add the president. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1395? Please add Senator Lundberg as a co-sponsor on House Bill 1375. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1395?
House Bill 1395 by Representative Giroux and Senator Lambert, concerning information technology budget requests and in connection therewith moving the review and prioritization of information technology budget requests previously requested as capital construction to the Joint Technology Committee, establishing specific deadlines for information technology requests and making an appropriation.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1395 on third reading and final passage.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1395. Any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1395 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator King and Senator Newell. Any other co-sponsors on House Bill 1395? Question is, okay, we already did that. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1393?
House Bill 1393 by Representative Giroux and Senator Hodge, concerning clarification regarding the treatment of federal funds for purposes of Section 20 of Article 10 of the State Constitution.
Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1393 on third reading and final passage, and I ask for an aye vote.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I thank the sponsor for running this bill, not because I'm going to vote for it, but because it brings up a topic that I think we need to consider from time to time, and that's the taxpayer's Bill of Rights, that essential part of our Constitution that the voters put in place, what was it, 1992, I believe was the date. So we've been under these provisions for more than 2 decades now. And I'm troubled by this bill, and I want to explain why. And in order to do that, we really need to review what the Taxpayer Bill of Rights is all about. It was put in place by the people of Colorado to limit the growth of government, of state government, and of the jurisdictions within government in Colorado. And
the curious thing is, if you look, you'd think over 2 decades, and of course it was proclaimed not just in this country but around the world as a policy that really changed the gears of government significantly. And yet what we've done over the last couple of decades is everything to frustrate that effort. And I'd say by we, I mean the state of Colorado, the government of Colorado has done everything to continue to grow. And you'd think that if Tabor really had the teeth that were intended, that you would look at Colorado and compare it to the other states, and we would be remarkably more controlled in how much government we have and what our tax rates are, and frankly how our economy would or would not be flourishing. And Tabor has had a real positive effect, but the problem is we've lost sight of the real the real genius behind it, if you will. And I want to refer to you the first substantive sentence under general provisions. Its preferred interpretation shall reasonably restrain most the growth of government. Now, 1393 is designed, on the face of it, I would say, to simply clarify where federal funds fit in this scenario. And that seems to be somewhat innocuous. Indeed, the House passed this bill unanimously, I believe. But as I look at this, I'm asking myself if it's simply clarifying that which is already self-evident within the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, or Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, that's a possessive plural, why then is this bill necessary? Is this bill designing something that goes a little bit further, or in some situations might expand the use of funds that would be considered outside of Tabor's limitation on revenue? If it doesn't, then I don't know why the bill is necessary at all. Tabor is not only self-executing, indeed it states it to be self-executing, it's also self-explanatory. And that's an important principle of following constitutional law. If we reinterpret through statute, we can nudge the meaning one way or another. And we can. The legislature most certainly can create statutory law that takes a constitutional issue that might have a little bit of vagueness in it and move it one way or the other. Well, what 1393 does is it makes it very clear that all federal funds, whether directly or indirectly going to a local jurisdiction, are outside of the limits imposed by the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights on revenue. Now, think about this carefully, because it's that indirect form that, okay, the dollars first flow into a state fund that then go to a local jurisdiction. The concern I have is that always crystal clear? And if it's not, if there's a commingling of funds, for example, and then it moves to the local jurisdiction, I speculate that if there's any substantive effect to 1393 at all, it would be to, at least to some degree, expand the revenue limit beyond what Tabor indicates or demands, actually. So if this bill has any effect, it's going to be flying in the face of that first sentence, which is, its preferred interpretation shall reasonably restrain most the growth of government. That's what the people of Colorado stated in the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights provision in the Constitution, that we are to restrain the growth of government as much as we can, and to change or to add additional interpretation to the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights that says we want to be very clear that all revenue from federal funds that's directly or indirectly given to a jurisdiction is outside of the limits. If it does anything, it expands the growth of government. Now, there's another element, and this has come up, and I'm on the committee that looked at after this too, the emergency funds that were necessary for rebuilding so many of the communities that have been damaged by the floods and also by the fires that we have had recently. I'll agree that FEMA, that federal agency, has created a great deal of consternation because inevitably the federal bureaucracy makes it complicated and sets rules and gotcha little limitations here and there. Well, that's the reality of FEMA. Indeed, I should hope that a future assembly within the General Assembly might consider a state-level FEMA and get rid of the federal side, but that's not in this bill at all. But neither should this bill be directing some policy that would in any way expand the limits of the restrictions on revenue as specified in the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. So just to reiterate, if the bill is simply clarifying, or let's say restating, what is written within the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, the bill is not necessary. If the bill, however, is giving guidance and direction that expands the use of those funds in any way whatsoever, it's in violation of the Constitution. It's illegal. So it's either unnecessary or it's illegal. And either of those demands a no vote. Thank you.
Senator Renfro.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to rise and thank the sponsors for bringing this bill on the last day of my legislative session so that we could have a Tabor discussion on the last day. How fitting is that to have Senator Lundberg here with the Constitution talking about Tabor on our last day? So I'm a no vote on this bill, and I'd encourage you to be a no also.
Any further discussion? Questions to the adoption of House Bill 1393. Are there any no votes? Senators Renfro, Shuffle, Crowder, Baumgartner, Lundberg, Brophy, Herpin, Marble, Harvey, Hill, Balmer, King, Rivera. Mr. Minority Leader. With 21 ayes, 14 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1393 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1391?
House Bill 1391 by Representatives Becker and Priola and Senators Kerr and Hill concerning the authority of the treasurer of a public governmental entity to make payments by means of a check.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. We move House Bill 1391 on third reading and final passage and ask permission to run a third reading amendment.
Are you going to try and amend the long bill onto the... All right, Senator Kerr, please explain your request for permission. Senator Hill.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, we realize we are missing out on an important branding opportunity here for Colorado. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and if we miss out on this, Colorado is missing out. So our amendment really is just a chance to highlight the great work we're doing here, and we're going to change the legislative declaration to call this the Kerr-Hill Colorado World Leader Advanced Industries Best Practices Future of our kids is at stake here. Technology appreciation bill.
Well, members, question is whether or not to grant them permission for such a lofty third reading amendment. All in favor say aye. No, say no. Permission denied.
Well, colleagues, thank you for your support. We do appreciate, we actually do appreciate all the work the Treasurer's done, that CU has done, and appreciate your support on this bill.
Any further discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1391. Any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1391 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Schwartz, Senator Noel. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1398?
House Bill 1398 by Representative Singer, Senators Stedman and Balmer, concerning the provision of financial services to licensed marijuana businesses and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam President. We move House Bill 1398 on third reading and final passage and ask permission for a third reading amendment.
Uh-oh. Okay, please explain the request for permission, Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, the amendment that our wonderful colleague from Ray offered, accidentally, the drafter discovered this morning that he inadvertently left a word out. So this is a technical amendment, just making a correction to the amendment that was offered yesterday.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you. If granted permission, we will be sure and insert business in this bill. But it does.
Very, very good. Question is whether to grant permission for a third reading amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Permission is granted. Mr. Majors, would you please read L040?
Amendment L040, House
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Amendment L040.
Mike Hogg.
Further discussion on the amendment? Questions the adoption of L040? Are there any no votes? Senator Harvey. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1398 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Oh, jumping ahead. The amendment has 34 ayes and 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused. That amendment is adopted. We are back to House Bill 1398. Any further discussion? Are there any no votes? Senators Marble, Brophy, Lundberg, Lambert, Harvey, Baumgartner, Crowder, Renfro, King, Rivera, Hill. With 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1398 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Madam President Pro Tem, Senator Schwartz. Conference committees to report. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1180? Committee reports.
First report of the First Conference Committee on House Bill 1180. This report amends the re-engrossed bill. To the President, the Senate, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, your First Conference Committee reported on House Bill 1180 concerning the sunset review of the regulation of outfitters for the taking of wildlife by the Director of the Division of Professions and Occupations, and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in the sunset report prepared by the Department of Regulatory Agencies, has met and reports that it has agreed upon the following: that the Senate received from its amendment made to the bill as the amendment appears in the re-revised bill, and that the following amendment be substituted therefore. Respectfully submitted, Representatives Becker, Fisher, and Wilson, Senators Toptrop, Roberts, and Schwartz.
No, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1180?
House Bill 1180 by Representative Becker and Senator Toptrop concerning the sunset review of the regulation of outfitters for the taking of wildlife by the Director of the Division of Professions and Occupations in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in the sunset report prepared by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Senator Toptrop.
Thank you, Madam President, and I move that we adhere to the amendment to the Conference Committee report. And what this does, on page 7, line 14, and we discussed this this issue in committee and also had a second reading amendment about this issue. It just states that the outfitter uses alcohol or any controlled substance while providing guide service to the extent that use places a user or other persons at risk or is an habitual user of alcohol. And we're just stating that if the outfitter, when they're camping or one of those situations, if they decide while they're sitting around the campfire to have a drink or two, it's okay. It just concerns if it's habitual use or it puts him or her or the danger to the people that they're outfitting, a danger to the people that they're outfitting in danger. And I just asked for an aye vote on the conference committee report.
Thank you, Senator Toptrap. Just to clarify, you're asking for adoption of the conference committee report, correct? Senator
Correct. I move the adoption of the conference committee report.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of the first conference committee report on House Bill 1180. Are there any no votes on the conference committee report? Mr. Minority Leader. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the conference committee report is adopted. Senator Toptrap.
Thank you, Madam President, and I move for the readoption of House Bill 1180. Readoption of House Bill 1180.
Further discussion? Question is readoption of House Bill 1180. Are there any no votes? Senators Crowder, Baumgartner, Rivera, Harvey, Lambert, Shuffle, Renfro, Grantham, Marble, Lundberg, Brophy, Balmer, King, Mr. Minority Leader, Senator Hill. And Senator Herpin wishes to be a no. With 19 ayes, 16 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1180 is readopted. Additional co-sponsors. Madam President Pro Tem will add you. Oh, we've got you. Members, we have a few other items to take up once the House gets us a message, but we can't take anything else up until we get there, so we will move into tributes. And before we do tributes to our members, Senator Aguilar is going to be asking for a moment of personal privilege. Mr. Majority Leader.
And we move we proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege for Senator Aguilar.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed no. Ayes have it. Senator Aguilar is granted a moment of personal privilege out of order. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I know we're all very excited about today being our last day of session. But I have with me a guest who has endured some tragic loss. And I'd like to read this tribute to Jessica Lenahan. Motivated by the tragic loss of her 3 daughters in a domestic violence incident that remains unresolved, Jessica Lenahan has worked tirelessly to raise awareness of the failure of the legal system and law enforcement in many states to adequately protect victims of domestic violence. Her determined crusade, validated by a favorable ruling from the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights in her case, has reaffirmed the fact that freedom from domestic violence is a basic human right that the government must ensure for all. Ms. Lenahan lost her 3 children to her under the hands of her spouse, who had violated a restraining order, and although she had called for intervention, none was provided. She filed a case against the town, and that case went to the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, she lost, and she took it to an Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, where it was suggested that we in the United States need to do a much better job of improving our standards for police response to domestic violence in the U.S. to help prevent further victims from suffering the loss that Ms. Lenahan has suffered. Members, I introduce you to, if you'd raise your hand, Ms. Jessica Lenahan. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Ms. Lenahan.
Thank you for your work. Members, the Senate will stand in recess to allow us to begin paying tribute to our departing senators for the session. We will stand in recess.
We've got to reconsider 1395. Randy needs to change the vote at some point in time.
Okay, you want to do it now?
We could if we want to come back.
The Senate will come back to order. Members, before we begin our tributes, there's been a request to reconsider House Bill 1395. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move we reconsider House Bill 1395.
Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1395? Okay.
You ready?
No, we're getting over The motion is for reconsideration on House Bill 1395. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Motion for reconsideration is granted. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1395.
House Bill 1395 by Representative Giroux, Senator Lambert, concerning information technology budget requests and in connection therewith moving the review and prioritization of information technology budget requests previously requested as capital construction to the Joint Technology Committee, establishing specific deadlines for information technology budget requests and making an appropriation.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1395 on fourth reading and final passage.
Any further discussion? Question is adoption of House Bill 1395. Are there any no votes? For example, Senator Baumgartner? All right. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1395 is adopted. Additional co-sponsors. Okay. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move we proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege for Senator Rivera.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Rivera is granted a moment of personal privilege out of order.
Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Rivera.
Thank you, Madam President. I still haven't got the hang of all this. But anyway, thank you, Madam President. I just want to recognize my wife, Catherine, beautiful wife over there. She was here for the first day of session and now is here for the last to kind of see us out. But my wife, Catherine, thank you very much.
Members, we will now stand in recess for our tributes for our members. Let's do Stedman. I think you can come. He, I guess not. Converted it to a business. Yeah, but we don't have a house message yet, so as soon as we do the reads and so I'll wait till you guys tell me you're ready to go, whatever order.
No, no, no.
That's good. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Good to see you. Members, we're going to begin doing some of our tributes to our members. We'll go until about 11:30 and come back at 1:30. As mentioned, there are some conference committees that need to happen and some messages we need to get from the House. And with that, if we could have your attention, Mr. Majors, would you please kick us off by reading the tribute to Senator Ted Harvey?
The Senate of the Colorado Legislature, convened in the 69th General Assembly, hereby extends heartiest congratulations and commendation to Senator Ted Harvey. Senator Ted Harvey was elected to the 63rd, 64th, 65th, 66th, 67th, 68th, and 69th General Assemblies, where he represented his fellow citizens with honor and dignity. During his tenure in the House and Senate, he served with distinction as House Assistant Minority Leader, as Chair of the Capital Development Committee, as Vice Chair of the Agriculture, Livestock, and Natural Resources Committee, and as a member of the Agriculture, Natural Resources and Energy, Appropriations, Business Affairs and Labor, Business, Labor and Technology, Finance, Information and Technology, Judiciary, and State Veterans and Military Affairs Committees, as well as a number of interim committees. The citizens of Colorado and the members of the Senate express gratitude for his exemplary service to our great state and wish Senator Harvey well in his future endeavors. Given the 7th day of May, 2014, the state capitol, Denver, Colorado, signed Morgan Carroll, President of the Senate.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Folks, sit down. It's going to be a few minutes. A very few minutes. You know, it's, as we were kind of organizing this morning, almost 30 seconds ago, nobody wanted to start. And it kind of reminded me of, I know it was a sad story I shared a few years ago when I was at a, it's going to be tough. I was at, no, I'm not even going to go there. Yeah, no, you don't want to hear this. So you followed me here, and then I followed you here. For those of you that don't know, when I left Heffley's office, Congressman Heffley's office, Ted joined the staff there, and within a year, he hated the job that he took as much as I hated the job that I left. So not that there was anything wrong working for the congressman. But we both worked in a district where some were considered the cavemen, citizens against virtually everything, right? And so then Senator Harvey, followed me to the House when Representative Nunez took a presidential appointment, and then I followed you to the Senate. And I guess I will follow you out of here, but not today. His lovely wife, Janie, is here. Welcome her, please. That's the second most important thing, or actually that's the most important thing I want to share about Ted is his wife. The second most important thing is Ted, you owe me $20 and I want it at noon, which is just less than 2 hours from now. So, you know, obviously everybody sees us at the microphone, and when we present our bills or we debate issues or talk on things, but what they don't see are things that I want to share a little bit, just a couple items about Ted. They don't see what he does away from the microphone, which is typically scheming about everything. I mean, everything. They don't see his amazing sense of humor, always. They don't see your hands shaking up here while you're speaking, but I do. Most of us shake. I could emulate all of you. But what they do see is a man who is resolute in principles, who is absolutely strong in faith and confident and committed when he is at this microphone to what he says, what he believes, and what he wants to share, and not just about the issues that we debate, but about who you are and how you are. That would be truly missed in this place. As I'm looking at the members that were leaving, I am absolutely convinced that term limits is wrong for the state, because there's so many great people here that have done so much work, that know so much now about how this place works, that all they do is contribute more and more and more every year. And for those of you that don't know, Ted was here as the reader for how many years? You can say it. Thank you. I can't see that far. So a lot of institutional knowledge here. Why don't you come on up, Ted, and anybody else that wants to share a few words about your departure. And I'm going to cut you some slack on the 20 till noon. Anyone? Hey, this is not a solo shot.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Madam President and Mr. Minority Leader. I actually remember Ted Harvey best for walking in here one night with a roller cart full of potential amendments. There are a few people who fight to the death harder than Ted Harvey, and so I'm sort of glad he's leaving. But the one thing I do need to say about him is, and actually I think my husband may have told you this story, Ted, but I think after my first session, we had gone to Stoney's and my husband had joined me. That was before I knew it was better to keep him hidden. And I introduced him to Ted Harvey, and they had a little discussion, and he said, you know, he's really smart. His values are all messed up, but he's really smart. And that was sort of what I thought about Ted. And what was nice about Ted was that you could discuss almost anything with him, and he could intelligently tell you why he didn't agree with you. And I really respect that, because I don't like people who just sort of say, well, you're wrong, without telling me why you think I'm wrong. Of course, I know that Ted is wrong, but but it was still nice to have those conversations with him. And if I had had a little bit more time with him, I'm sure I would have gotten him to support universal health care. I'll miss you, Ted.
Senator Shuffle.
Thank you, President Carroll. To the senior senator from Douglas County, it's been an honor to serve with you. Ted and I go way back. I can't help but think, sitting in a leadership program many, many years ago, where I first met a guy named Ted Harvey. And as you can guess, he kind of dominated that class. He was, I was out in the forefront. He was on the fast track to public service. I was on the slow track. And the reality, Ted has always been an encouragement. I can think of a number of occasions, including what got me to this building, where Ted would call up and say, you ought to do this, encourage you to do this, go for this. And that is noted and appreciated. It's been I think about, we all think about what to say at these things, and I think ultimately, other than kind of the fun stories and the times we spent in many a foxhole together in Douglas County working on various projects, and I think back at the time when I chaired the party out there, and Ted was just a stalwart supporter of projects, and you're right, Senator Cadman, always scheming and putting together a game plan, and those usually resulted in some sort of victory, some sort of success story for a cause somewhere. But I think ultimately what we want to communicate with these talks is thank you. Thank you. You have been faithful to the cause, and I have no doubt as we leave here that you'll find yourself at the forefront of the cause for liberty and freedom. In just another front, you may switch locations and hats and titles maybe, but you'll stay in the game, no question, and I look forward to continuing to serve with you in other capacities down the road. So it's been an honor, Ted. Thank you.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, Senator Harvey is just south of me. His district is just south of me. And most of his constituents absolutely love him. The ones who don't, I adopt. And the Democratic Party in the Highlands Ranch area, I can tell you, is very small. But they do come to me, and so I adopt his constituents when they come asking. But one of the things that I so love about Senator Harvey is that if you did not know his political persuasion at all, you would want to be his neighbor. He is. Well, of course. You know what I'm saying. Truly, as often as we disagree, we also agree on many things as well. And one of them is music. And those of you who may not know, his kids, and Jean's kids, they are in a group called the Young Voices, which is a phenomenal group. And every year we co-host the Young Voices out at DU together as the right and the left. And it's always something funny. And he is truly one of the funniest people I know. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your sharing in that. You may not always vote that way, but thank you for sharing in the spirit of the music in our area. But the other thing that really hit me this year was with the Arapahoe High School incident. I had no idea that Senator Harvey's son went there until we were there literally at the memorial service together. And that is when I found out. And there is nothing like tragedy to bring two hearts together. And I know that you are probably still feeling it. Your family is still feeling it. Your son is still feeling it. And I want you to know that no matter what partisanship we have, we will always be unified in that work against school violence. And so I thank you for being so stalwart in your principles, so hilarious in your humor. It's too bad you weren't still a reading clerk, but you know, we have to have some Republican from Highlands Ranch, and I can tell you, you are one of the best. And so thank you. I truly love you as a person.
Senator John?
Go sit down. Thank you, Madam President. Well, you know, Senator Harvey came in just a short time after I because he filled a vacancy. I had to, the very first thing, we sat back in the back together, the very first thing I had to teach him, how to respond to the constituents. He couldn't send, "You have to be kidding me." I said, no. Representative Harvey, you can't send that. He goes, "Yeah, I can. Send." So we had to have a lesson. I was really happy to learn that it was not a constituent, it was an out-of-state person. I said, we have to talk about this. I was one of the House members that got to watch when a few select representatives got their wingnut pins. Not sure how many of those went around, but there was 5 or 6. Oh, we have one over here. Yep, if you don't all have your wingnut pins, you might ask Senator Harvey. There you go. And finally, I was able to personally thank him because he does love to plan and scheme. And one of the biggest ones that he was able to do was in my election for my opponent for the Senate. How'd that work for him? Not so good. Not so good. But I thanked him because of the hard work that he did, and he does love to plan and scheme. They put my name out there so many times, Senator Harvey, that you gave me great name recognition. and I won. I have loved serving with Representative Senator Harvey. I have loved his passion about deregulating those taxi cab industries, and therefore it was such an honor and a privilege to work with you this year on making history in this country, on bringing a new industry in, the transportation network companies. And he is a great sponsor because he puts his heart and soul into every piece of legislation that he carries. I am going to miss you. Thank you.
Senator Tok.
Thank you, Madam President. And I had the honor of serving with Representative Harvey and Senator Harvey over here. I remember when he came in with the Vacancy Committee, I had already, because of the Vacancy Committee, I'd served 2 years. But what I remember most about him in the House, when we had the last 3 days of session, that was extremely interesting, when, with reapportionment, I think that was back in 2002, something like that. And of course, we were in a minority party. The Democrats were in a minority party at the time in the House, and we tried to do everything we could to hold a calendar. And every bill that came up, we would request that it be read at length. And I can remember then Representative Harvey standing up there and reading the bills along with everybody else. At that time, I did not know in his previous life that he was a reader in the House before he left, and then of course before he was elected. But the one thing about now Senator Harvey is, and we're losing it here, and I just want to remind everybody, please remember this: when Ted gives you his word is law, and he does not change it. And I have seen that we're losing that. We're losing that. And I do want to thank Senator Harvey. We didn't agree on a lot, but I always felt very good when he was on my side on an issue because I knew he would stand with me and stay with me, and his word was law. And that's what we all need down here. Our word is everything. Thank you.
Senator Schwartz.
And thank you, Madam Chair, and I'd like to come and salute my colleague from the Ag Committee. We have worked together now 8 years, and sometimes have been easier than others, and I always remember when Ted starts to get fired up about those environmentals and all they do to ruin our forests, and I can just hear that litany going on replay, and but then he'll turn to me and he'll give me a little wink, knowing fully well that things are okay again. But I just want to thank you. We finally did carry a bill together this year, our projects bill, and I think Senator Harvey has a lot to be proud of, to be bringing that project to his district and to Colorado and to the Front Range. And I know it was a long time coming, a long-term effort, but I'm grateful that we've been able to have the time together and to work together, and I think there's been a lot of mutual respect. So Ted, all the best to you.
Senator Hodge.
Well, thank you, Madam President. 13 years. 13 years we've been down here together, Senator, Representative Harvey. It's been a pleasure and an honor to serve with you. I happened to run into Mrs. Harvey this morning and commented that I've watched your children grow up. There they were, the screensaver babies, and now they're the screensaver great big kids. It's been a lot of fun. Godspeed.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, the more years you've been down here and the more tributes you see, the more it comes home to you that we are here but temporarily. And for Senator Harvey, for Ted, I have many memories. First met him when he first was appointed to his position in the House, and much comment has been made on his principles. I will tell you his principles are right, and they are solid, and they are well-reasoned. I first met Ted at a pro-life rally, and this was probably days after you had gone through your vacancy committee meeting that appointed you. And then it was my privilege to join the team at the next election, and it has been a real honor to serve with a man of integrity that knows where he stands, and through so many things we have served in the House, served in the Senate. He was one of the first folks that we started the Republican Study Committee of Colorado, and to try to hold high that banner of those principles. And Ted's been faithful in that arena as well. And there's another area that not all of you are aware of. I wish you were, but there's a Bible study every Tuesday morning, and Senator Harvey has been an essential part of that as well. And that has been a real time, not of politics, but of just digging down as people who understand their standing before their God as well. And that is a man who Ted Harvey is. Now, there's one other thing that I only know because I saw the pictures, but I believe his political career didn't begin here in Colorado, but actually as a member of President Reagan's staff in the White House. And he's got a remarkable picture because, you know, with every presidential team, I'm sure they take the group photo, and there's an incredible shot of President Reagan and all of his cabinet lined up. No, Ted's not in that one. But the photographer used the rest of the staff to set the picture up. And so there are two pictures side by side. One is with the president and all of his cabinet and all the other important muckety-mucks. And then the other one is everybody in the same location, and Ted's in that shot. But a little younger. But what a remarkable history to hearken back to work in that arena, and then to come and serve the people of Colorado. Indeed, Ted's wrapping up this chapter, but there are more to come, I'm certain. And I look forward to working with you side by side again. Thank you, Ted.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. And, you know, when we talk about some of the people that have been around here pre-Amendment 41, you hear a lot of different stories than, unfortunately, what I've experienced in the last 6 years. And sometimes maybe we use that as an excuse, but it clearly is true. In fact, even had that conversation last night. That I happened to end up at a ball game with some friends, and we were talking about how unfortunate it is that we don't get to know each other better. And Ted, I feel like I've gotten to know you better this year than I have any other year, and that's good. But I'm sorry we didn't have that the other 5 years, and not that we didn't; it was just different. I happened to have the privilege of meeting Ted's wife earlier this year at a function that we were both at. And I walked up to him the next day and I said, Ted, I now found out that we have not one but two things in common. Obviously, the first thing is our hairline, right? And then I said, secondly, it's clear that we both married up. And wouldn't it have been nice to have had that earlier and had that chance? It was also just a pleasure to watch you and Senator John and the President working together on the Uber bill. Regardless of how you felt about the bill, it was an example of true bipartisanship in its best form. And I will remember that. it will be a lasting memory, and I appreciate that for you, and you're a very lucky man with your family, and obviously we both are, and I want to wish you the very, very best of luck. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Senator Brophy.
There was this gun guy that many of you know and many of you would like to do away with, who back in 2003 told me, I was brand new into the House at the time, that there's this fella by the name of Ted Harvey that I need to go and meet because we would be kindred spirits. And so I met him, and we are. And it has been an honor to stand shoulder to shoulder with this guy, fighting for the things that we both care so deeply about. And fighting against him when he's wrong on water issues, which is regular. But I will tell you that there is hardly anybody in this legislative body that understands water and water policy better than Ted Harvey, and certainly no one who has fought harder for his district and his principles than Senator Harvey. Sir, it has been an honor to serve with you, to fight you and to fight with you, and to have fun all along the way in many places. And I will never forget some of our finest hours sitting beside each other in Ag Committee, making our points and knowing often that we were going to lose the vote but win the discussion. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. I had the privilege of this last year going to an Air Force Academy football game with Ted and his daughter. And not all of you might know this, but Ted's dad was in the Air Force and died at a far too early age. But I think that was formative for Ted Harvey as a patriot, for someone fully committed to our country, our American values. It's also, I think, from my experience being a military member, having gone through some family separations, it puts a higher priority on the time you do have together with your family. And I think that's the way Ted lives his life. We've heard about that with his wife and his kids. What we do here in the legislature is important. What we do with our families is very important. We have talked about the legacy or the experience that Ted has had. You know, one thing I've never quite figured out is why you're on the Ag Committee, except for the fact that Highlands Ranch is the largest ranch in Colorado, from what but as the senator from Ray mentioned, it's well represented of his district in that area of the state that has the highest interest in the overall success of our agriculture and our water and all of our other affiliated resources. It was mentioned that Ted had been the reading clerk in the House just to start his legislative career. He also could be the poster child in some people's minds for why we have term limits, right? But as the minority leader said, this is a sort of a mixed bag. When somebody has that level of experience and we lose it for the state, it can kind of distort our process. We need continuity in the legislature. Unfortunately, the other side of that is having a continuity among the executive departments and the bureaucrats and the staff and so forth, who know year after year after year what's going on, and we lose that corporate experience in the legislature.
The positive side of this, and I've kind of seen this in the military, because we have in the military sort of an up or out policy. It's rare among governments of the world where our military will serve for a very finite period of time, quite often with no retirement up until about 20 years of service. And then one day you have to leave. I've been in a foreign country where their retirement system is a little bit more brutal than ours, where the king will show up in somebody's office, a general officer, and say, "Thank you very much," shake his hand, and they are suddenly retired with no advanced warning. And you never know when he might arrive. We have a little bit, let's say, more civilized, kinder system than that, but it's always the same type of thing. That day comes when you need to move on. And a very wise lieutenant general from the Army told me one time, with this type of system, when people face retirement, and if you define yourself in such a way that your career is everything, and when that ends, you have a perception that your life ends, that's really the wrong perception. Senator Ted Harvey is not going to retire in that way. As a matter of fact, he might have a lot more free time on his hands, which could be rather interesting, because he's going like this for those who can't see it. But with the experience he's gained in the legislature, I don't believe, like General MacArthur said, he will just fade away. I think that legislative experience, his political experience, his life experience is going to extend and serve the people of Colorado and the citizens of America for many, many years to come. I thank you as a friend, thank you as a brother, and God bless you.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Madam President. And I've not been at the legislature without a Ted Harvey. I'm not quite sure what will happen next year, so it's kind of scary. I'm sure he will be lurking around somewhere. But I had the privilege of serving with Ted, Senator Harvey, as a representative and as a senator. And one of my fondest memories is when we went to Israel together. Not just the two of us, but there were many others that were with us, with the Allied Jewish Federation. And when we drove off and left him to go to Jordan to join his brother, and I thought, well, I guess that's one way to deal with term limits. We may never see him again. And the time that we were there, and one of the things that I think was so important was no one worried about if you were a Democrat, if you were a Republican. We were Americans, and we represented our country, and we were there, and we were learning about Israel and our relationships with them. It was an extremely important time, and it was a very valuable time of some bridge building. And I don't think we ever carried a bill together. I'm sure that we voted for each other's bills along the way. But a couple of things that really stick out in my mind are Ted's faith and his family. And I remember when Jack was just, and he must have been, was he 7 10 years ago? How old is he now? 17? So, okay. And so I can remember him coming to the legislature with his daddy and being so proud. And now here he is in high school and getting ready to graduate and move on to a new element. As we were standing on the floor the other night, and it was getting kind of late, and Ted turned to me and he said, "I just want to go home and be with my wife." So with that, we give him back to you, and we thank you so much, Ted, for your service, for your dedication, and for your consistent pathways that you have shown while you've been down here. Your faith and your family are always going to be number one to you. God bless you. God bless your family. Thank you.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to give you a different perspective of Ted Harvey as a new senator. You know, I come up here and we just don't know what's going on. And we got in committee meeting one day. We were on the same committee, and we were very well aligned on our side. And, you know, when it come time to vote, being alphabetically, I voted first. And when it got to Senator Harvey's vote, he voted in opposite. When I picked myself off the floor, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Here we had been arguing this thing, and it was a major bill, and he votes with the opposition. And I said, what is this guy all about? Well, then I discovered it was a political ploy. Basically, one of the opposition had hid out until the vote, and what he did was, when she came in, he voted for reconsideration. But it was one of those things that you have to learn. But I tell you what, the emotions that day, that after listening to him argue and then thinking we were aligned, he voted in the opposition, it just blew your mind. But I learned a lot from Ted. You know, unknowingly, he's been a mentor of mine. Well, when I say unknowingly, you have to watch him. If you just watch him, you learn. You know, and it's been an amazing journey. And, you know, it's the previous senator talked about Highlands Ranch being the largest. That's not what he told me. He says, because we were talking about how he got on the ag, because when I come up here, I thought he was an agricultural. He said he lives on the richest ranch in the state. But I've learned a lot from him, and I've learned what he's garnered for me is respect, you know, respect on his knowledge, on the way he handles himself. But there is one thing that I will say. I've heard him talk about his siblings, his brothers and sisters, how successful they were. And I'm very well aware of his dad, Vietnam experience and whatnot. And the one thing we share is, you know, I lost my dad at an early age. I've always wondered, you know, what would your dad say now? Would your dad be proud of you or whatever? But I can tell you, knowing Senator Harvey and knowing his dad's background, I can guarantee you his dad would be very proud of him. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Renfro, I had you down next.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, it's we got to be honest, it's the Ted Harvey. You know, that's how we'd always talk about Ted. And both Ted and Greg, I have to honestly thank and appreciate them for being here, because Greg talked of stories of someone having to say, you got to meet this guy. Well, I had that in my past too, of saying, you need to call these guys, and it was these two, and see if they'll endorse you. And you guys on the left talked of the scheming and the things that he does down here. Well, people on the right talk of his scheming and the things he does down here also. In fact, while he was in the House, he ran amendments that are the reason I'm probably here. That our party wasn't probably happy that he ran. And but what it did is it showed where people stood on issues. And then it let the citizens decide. And that's one thing that he's never been afraid to do, is to stand up for what he believes and what he thinks is right. And I respect him dearly for that. And it's been special serving with Ted, let me tell you. Don't believe the stories that I broke his rib lifting him up and trying to do a body slam with him one day. That he was just wimpy and wanted to complain about that, and probably was 10 pounds overweight, and I miscalculated what he weighed a little bit. But my fond memories also go back to sitting in Philadelphia, where our founders had a beer and contemplated the forming of this nation, and getting to sit with some friends and Ted there and talk about our founders, our country, and how blessed we are. And it has been a true blessing to serve with you. And you're more than a senator colleague. You're a brother and a friend, a lifelong friend who I'd lay my life down for, and I know you would for me and my family. And I thank you for everything you've done for me and my family and for the state of Colorado. Thank you, Ted.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Madam President. My takeaways from serving with Senator Ted Harvey: the broader the smile, the squintier the eyes, the bigger the scheme. I have never seen anyone with more passion for strategy in the battle than Senator Harvey. And I can tell you, I have never enjoyed engaging in the strategy of the battle with anyone more than Senator Harvey. There's truly only one Ted, and I just want to let him know what an honor and a pleasure it has been to serve with him. He's like a little brother, and of course, I've never had a little brother, but I can only imagine what it would have been like growing up with Ted. I don't know if we would have survived, but it would have been a hell of a good time. I want to let him know and his family know how much they mean to me, and that, yes, they are family. And this is not goodbye. This is a continuation of one of the best friendships I have ever had. And I just want to thank you all, your family, for allowing you to do this and for allowing me to serve with you.
Senator Grantham.
I have photos, remember.
Thank you, Madam President. Dad always said if you can't say anything nice about somebody, so let's talk about Janie instead. You must be a saint. Ted, it's been an honor to serve with you. He still actually claims credit for my being here. We'll give him that for now. But Ted, you were a great help, great colleague, and it is going to be honestly difficult to imagine this place without you. So many of the things that have already been said are things that were going through my mind as I was sitting there. Especially what Vicki just said, the wider the smile and the squintier the eyes. You hit it right on the head. I can't improve on some of the things that were said about what it meant to serve with you, to battle alongside of you, to plot and to scheme, to argue, to have some of those discussions over lunch about the fate of our country and our state. Something that came to mind as I was sitting there, I won't read the entire thing because it's a little bit more somber of a poem than that, but at least the beginning sort of encapsulates what I'm thinking. Oh, Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done.
That's enough.
Senator Rivera.
Thank you,
you, Madam President. You know, I've obviously just been here a few months, so I haven't had the good fortune of knowing Senator Harvey for that length of time. But I can say this, that what I've seen in the past 4 months, and what I guess what I should say is what I've heard, only validates what I have seen over the past 4 months. And I wish Senator Harvey all the best in everything he does.
Senator Harvey, oh, we were gonna, yep. All right, you better sit down now for a little while here. Madam President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a time where I think probably a lot of us go through those feelings of when we were graduating from high school or when we were graduating from college and we were going to end something that had been going on for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and it's always this sense of gladness and sadness at the same time. And I just want to come up here and, you know, there's always something for each of you who are leaving. There's going to be some little symbol that reminds us of you. And I just want to let Ted Harvey know that the one symbol that I will always see that will remind me of him and his work, and one of the bills that I got to work with him on, where we were both on the same side, I will always remember you when I go through a red light camera and I get a ticket.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Madam President. And I have to be one of the people that also have to speak on behalf of Ted Harvey as part of my being here. And I wanted to thank him for everything that he's done, and just not for me, but for this body and for the state of Colorado. As you've heard earlier, there's nobody that works harder, that represents his constituency more. Sitting next to him, I don't know if I can call him a mentor or not. I guess I can call him that. I've seen a lot of these schemes that or a lot of the hard work that he put together. I'll put it that way. But as you heard earlier, when Ted gave you his word, he gave you his word. And you know that the one thing that I will take away from this, sitting next to him, is he always had time for you. If there was something you didn't understand, you could ask him. Didn't matter what he was doing, didn't matter what amendment he was working on, what bill he was working on. He always took the time to explain it to you. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate his friendship. Thank you for everything you did. Thank the family for sharing him with us. God bless you, Ted. God bless your family.
So Senator Harvey, as part of calling on you to recognize, I just wanted to add, you are incredibly intelligent, very intelligent, high integrity, a worthy ally, a worthy adversary. You have helped shape and change the institution. We've all, on both sides of the aisle, learned from you, and I would just add that for as long as I had started serving, including back in the House, you were always able to weave in stories, usually ones that brought joy, with examples of things that your kids would say, or life experiences from your family, which always made the impression to me that at the end of the day, that's why you were here. And I think that came through. And I think I speak obviously on behalf of the whole Senate chamber and the General Assembly. We will definitely miss you. Senator Harvey, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve with you. And I'll yield the microphone.
Thank you, Madam President. This will be very short. Every freshman that comes in, I always go up to them. And I tell them, the friends you make in this place will be the friends you have for the rest of your life. And that's the honest to God truth. I love you all.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. For some reason last year, the parting gifts were a big hit, so we thought we'd repeat them. So we have other members that are going to be joining at the microphone so that we can say our goodbyes. So could you put your earmuffs on and cover your eyes so you can't see the cool stuff that's coming to you as well? Come on. Really nice memento going to our members this year in 2014 for your service here. Ted Harvey, Representative, 2002 to 2006, Senator, 2007, 2014. If I resign this year, can I get one of these? Because they may not be that good next year. We also Ted, you still owe dues for the last 5 years, so we had to chip in to cover your portion of your present. What's that tell you about the $20 I'm not getting at noon, huh? Anyway, the staff did a nice frame of your service in the Senate. It's a nice framed picture of the Capitol before it was wrapped up with the plastic. And we did a money clip, which appropriately has his salary in it already. And the keys to your new car that we pitched in for you. It would have been bigger, but you haven't paid your dues.
Senator Harvey.
All right, let's try that again. Members, truly, every freshman that comes in this place, I do say you will make friends that'll be friends for a lifetime. There's not a person that I look at that I don't have a memory of something from every one of you. Um, 13 years I have this together. My wife and I put this together. This is every pen for every session that we've been down here. And a wing nut. There's a few of us that were given these about 12 years ago for all the wing nuts that were in the house. And they made those, put those together. The reason why I do this is from the statement, very well-known statement, evil prevails when good men sit and do nothing. And I've dedicated my life to fighting what I believe is the encroachment on individual rights, the encroachment of government on the family, the encroachment of a secular society against the religious values that this country was founded upon. That is what I've dedicated my life to. That's why I worked in the Reagan administration when I was 23 years old. That's why I came back to Colorado, got involved in politics, served as the House reading clerk, and I have two of those pens on here as well. That's why I ran for office so many years ago, was to come down here and fight evil when evil prevails. But over the years, I've also had the privilege to serve with many, many, many great leaders in this body, in this building. Going back to Bev Bledsoe, who was the Speaker of the House when I was the House reading clerk. Bev was the Speaker of the House for many, many years. And he held this institution higher than anything else. If you did something that disrespected this institution, he would stop everything. He would put you into adjournment and he would say, "Come to my office." And you would walk back there and he would say, "That's never going to happen again, is it?" And then you would turn and walk back out. Everybody understood what was going on when Speaker Bledsoe put you into adjournment, into a recess. The woodshed. Senator Jones was there when Speaker Bledsoe was the Speaker. Don't forget that this institution was here before you were here, and that this institution will be here after you were here. And is your sacred honor as you are here to make sure that the people of the state of Colorado honor this institution and this body of government. We have a responsibility as the legislative branch to uphold the great values that this country was founded upon, and to respect that and to fight for that. Don't ever forget that. Many of you all mentioned my family. I've been here for 13 years. My daughter is 13. She's known nothing different than this institution. Evil prevails when good men sit and do nothing. It is your responsibility to keep this state and to keep this country good for my 13-year-old daughter, my 16-year-old son, and your kids and grandkids. That's why we're here. I couldn't let this day go by without thanking Janie.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Mostly the folks on my side will understand this next comment. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Honorable Ted Harvey.
The Senate will come back to order. Message from the House.
May 7, 2014, Madam President, the House has passed on third reading and returns herewith Senate Bills 199, 205, 208, 202, 217, 213, 211, 222, and 195. The House has passed on third reading and transferred the advisory statute. Senate Bills 193 is amended, Senate Bill 215 is amended, Senate Bill 223 is amended, Senate Bill 172 is amended, Senate Bill 214 is amended. The House has adopted and returns herewith Senate Joint Resolution 10. The House has adopted and returns herewith Senate Joint Resolution 25. The House has adopted the first report of the First Conference Committee on House Bill 1298 as printed in the House Journal May 6, page 1427, and has repassed the bill as amended. The House has adopted the first report of the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 88 as printed in the House Journal and has repassed the bill as so amended. The bills returned herewith. The House has adopted the first report of the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 50 as printed in the House Journal and has repassed the bill as so amended. The bills returned herewith. The House has voted to concur in Senate amendments to House Bills 1343, 1360, 1366, 1381, 1382, 1384, and 1396, and has repassed the bills as so amended. The House has voted to recede from its position on Senate Bills 192 and 182 and repass the bills as amended. The bills are returned herewith.
Members, in order to not cut short any of our time for any of the members, and given that we only have till 11:30, there's a couple shorter items of business we can do. And with that, would ask that we read conference committees to report.
First report of the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 88. This report amends the re-revised bill to the President, Senate, and Speaker of the House of Representatives. Your First Conference Committee reporting on Senate Bill 88 concerning the creation of Suicide Prevention Commission in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations has met and reports that it has agreed upon the following: that the Senate accede to the House amendments made to the bill as the amendments appear in the re-revised bill, and that under the authority granted to the committee to consider matters not at issue between the two houses, the following amendments be recommended. Respectfully submitted, Senate Committee and House Committee.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the adoption of the First Conference Committee report on Senate Bill 88.
Thank you. Please proceed with your explanation.
Thank you, Madam President. We did some cleanup language. It came out unanimously from the Conference Committee where we just rectified some language from the House amendments and the Senate amendments that we'd put in, like we separated out K through 12 and higher ed rather than K through 20. Minor stuff like hospital with an on-site emergency department, one from the public sector and one from the private sector would be chosen as co-chairs, and that is about it, and I ask for an aye vote.
It's slow.
I think we killed her battery.
No, I got more.
Any further discussion? Apologies, Senator Newell. Question is to adopt the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 88. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the First Conference Committee report is adopted. Senator Newell for readoption of Senate Bill 88.
Thank you, Madam President. I forgot about that part. I move for the readoption of Senate Bill 88.
Any discussion? Question is the readoption of Senate Bill 88. Are there any no votes? Senators Baumgartner, Mr. Minority Leader. Senators Lambert, Brophy, Shuffle, Renfro, Grantham, Marble, Lundberg, Rivera, Hill, Harvey, with 23 ayes, 12 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 88 is readopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 50? Read the report for Senate Bill 50, please.
First report of the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 50. This report amends the re-revised bill to the President, Senate, and Speaker of the House of Representatives. Your First Conference Committee reporting on Senate Bill 50 concerning financial assistance to Colorado hospitals in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations has met reports that it is agreed upon the following: that the Senate accede to the House amendments made to the bill as the amendments appear in the re-revised bill, that under the authority granted the committee to consider matters not at issue between the two houses, the following amendment be recommended. Respectfully submitted, Senators Aguilar, Newell, and Roberts, Representatives Moreno, McCain, and Landgraf.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we adopt the committee report.
Please proceed with your explanation.
We change the word shall to may.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of the First Conference Committee report on Senate Bill 50. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the First Conference Committee report is adopted. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we repass Senate Bill 50.
Any discussion? Question is readoption of Senate Bill 50. Are there any no votes? Senators Baumgartner, Crowder, Shuffle, Harvey, Lambert, Brophy, Herpin, Lundberg, Marble, Grantham, Rivera, Mr. Minority Leader. Senator Renfro, Senators Hill, Balmer, With 20 ayes, 15 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 50 is readopted. Additional co-sponsors. Senator Kafalis. Message from the reviser.
May 7, 2014, we hear the transmitted without comment as amended Senate Bills 172, 193, 214, 215, and 223.
Members, we have received from the House a couple bills back to consider House amendments to Senate bills. Let me give you those numbers so you can look and see which bills we are about ready to take up. This includes Senate Bill 172, Senate Bill 193, Senate Bill 214, and Senate Bill 215. House amendments to Senate bills. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 172?
Senate Bill 172 by Senators Tocktrop and Newell and Representative Kraftharp concerning employer-paid benefits to a firefighter for cardiac illnesses resulting from a strenuous work event in a connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Tocktrop.
Thank you, Madam President, and I move that we concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 172, and what we have done is, because there was a change in the fiscal note, they just changed the numbers on page 8 and 9, and I just asked for an aye vote on concurrence of amendments to Senate Bill 172.
Any discussion on the motion to concur? The motion is for the Senate to concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 172. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate concurs with House amendments to Senate Bill 172. Senator Tocktrop.
Thank you, Madam President, and I move for the readoption of Senate Bill 172.
Discussion. Question is readoption of Senate Bill 172. Are there any no votes? Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Shuffle, Lambert, Crowder, Baumgartner, Lundberg, Harvey, Brophy, Marble, Hill, Renfro, Grantham. With 23 ayes, 12 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 172 is readopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 193?
Senate Bill 193 by Senators Carroll and Lundberg and Representative Singer concerning conforming Colorado law on location information with the Fourth Amendment as interpreted by the United States Supreme Court in the United States v. Jones.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam President. I move, because we concur, yourself and myself, on the amendments to the bill from the House. I move that the Senate concur with the amendments from the House. It amounts to two things. One is they eliminated the first 12 lines of the legislative declaration. Not quite sure of their discomfort with that, but I can certainly live with their not wanting to put it in the non-published side of the statute there anyway, because it won't be there. And then secondly, on page 6 of the bill, they added a little more specificity to how it doesn't apply when a phone company essentially is required to provide some information because of a search warrant, subpoena, or court order. Therefore, I again renew my motion that we concur with House amendments on Senate Bill 193.
Whoops, microphone. I'm new at this.
There we go.
Any discussion on the motion for the Senate to concur with House amendments? Any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate concurs with House amendments to Senate Bill 93. Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we readopt Senate Bill 193 as amended.
Any further discussion? Question is the readoption of Senate Bill 193. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 193 is adopted. Additional co-sponsors, Senator Shuffle, Senator Crowder. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 214?
Senate Bill 214 by Senators Lambert and Stedman and Representatives Giroux and May concerning the studies requested the Department of Personnel's response to the request for information in the fiscal year 2013-14 Annual General Appropriation Act in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 214.
Please proceed with your explanation.
Thank you. Members, this is a joint budget committee bill, and just beyond all rationality, the House of Representatives, state of Colorado, actually voted to amend a joint budget committee bill. This is the powerful joint budget committee. And just on the basis of this, I really regret to move this House amendment. What they did in the House was interfere with a sentence that said, if the state auditor and the association do not concur regarding the selection of the firm or firms by October 1st, 2014, the state auditor shall retain the firm or firms preferred by the state auditor. I see nothing wrong with that. But the House actually voted on a recorded vote to insert the words, following good faith efforts. This is a sad day for the state, but I would move that we concur, regrettably, with the House amendments.
The question is whether the House should tamper with the infallible work of the Joint Budget Committee. Are there any no votes? Senator Kerr. With 34 ayes, 1 loyal JBC fan, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate concurs with House amendments to Senate Bill 214. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the repassage. Madam President, I move for the repassage of Senate Bill 214.
Any discussion?
As amended.
Question is the readoption of Senate Bill 214. Any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 214 is readopted. Additional co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 215?
Senate Bill 215 by Senators Stedman and Representatives Duran and Giroux concerning the disposition of monies collected by the state in connection with the legal marijuana industry and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in House amendments to Senate Bill 215.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Well, kind of like the last bill, how the House was messing with the infallible work of the JBC. In this case, the House put the bill back much closer to the way the JBC had it to begin with. And specifically, they reversed a good portion of the amendment that was adopted on the floor here that deleted the program to provide grants to public schools to employ school nurses and other school health personnel. The Senate had completely eliminated that program from the bill and moved all the money instead to the behavioral health program for early interventions in school settings. And the House left a little bit of the money in the program the Senate had increased, but moved $2.5 million back to the program through the Colorado Department of Education that provides grants to school districts for school nurses. So that program is restored. They also did a little amendment that's actually a helpful thing to correct one of the other Senate amendments that we made. The money is still there for the Child Welfare Training Academy, and they did a little technical correction to how that was done so that it is a permissible use of these tax revenues. But it's close to the original bill with some of our improvements, and I think we should concur.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. I think this is just our own darn fault, because the Senate tried to change the original introduced version of the bill by the powerful Joint Budget Committee, and this is just we're getting what we deserve at this point. So I'd ask for an aye vote also.
Any discussion on the motion for the Senate to concur? Are there any no votes? Senator Brophy. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate concurs with House amendments to Senate Bill 215. Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the repassage of Senate Bill 215 as amended.
Any discussion? Question is readoption, Senate Bill 215. Any no votes? Senator Brophy. 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused. Senate Bill 215 is readopted. Additional co-sponsors. Senator Newell would like to be a co-sponsor. We have one more House amendment to Senate bill to act on. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 223?
Senate Bill 223 by Senators Nicholson and Cadman and Representatives Giroux and Young concerning the payment by the state of legal claims arising in connection with the lower North Fork wildfire and in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, President Carroll. Request that the Senate reject the House amendments to Senate Bill 223, that a conference committee be formed and we be authorized to go beyond the scope of our differences.
Thank you. Please proceed.
That's enough. I mentioned the House. I first request that we reject the House in its entirety for obvious reasons. And if you heard what they've been saying about us, I don't think you would debate that. The members, this is it's a very serious issue of how we are going to settle the claims for the lower North Fork wildfire. The reason that we need to go to conference committee is because a couple items have changed as for the payment mechanism, where the funds are coming from, and the beyond the scope component is so that we will probably include the final claimant who was outstanding until recently, so we can include this and complete this once and for all. That's the reason for going beyond the scope. Would ask for an aye vote.
The question before us is to reject the House amendments, form a conference committee, and give permission to go beyond the scope. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, that motion is adopted. President appoints Senators Nicholson chair, Senator Cadman, Senator Stedman as conferees on House Bill 223. Message from the House.
May 7, 2014, Madam President, the House has voted not to concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1001 and requests that a conference committee be appointed. Speaker has appointed Representative Singer as chairman, May and Gardner as House conferees on the first conference committee on House Bill 1001. The bill is transmitted herewith. The House has voted not to concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1398 and requests that a conference committee be appointed. Speaker has appointed Representative Singer as chairman, Pabon and Dorr as House conferees on the first conference committee on House Bill 1398. The bill is transmitted herewith.
The President appoints as conferees on House Bill 1001 Senator Nicholson chair, Senators Stedman and Renfro. And that conference committee will be meeting at 1:30 p.m. in House Committee Room 112.
We're going out to 1001, I think.
He doesn't make those decisions by himself.
These are going to come back at 1:30, obviously we can if we've got conference committee.
On the conference committee for House Bill 1398, the President appoints Senator Stedman chair, Senators Balmer and Schwartz, And that conference committee will meet at 1 o'clock in House Committee Room 112. So 1001 was 1:30 in 112. 1398 is 1 o'clock in House Committee Room 112. Signing of bills.
May 7, 2014, the President signed House Bills 1199, 1227, 1327, 1328, 1329, 1330, and 1331.
A quick change on the announcement of the conference committee for House Bill 1398, 145 for the conference committee on House Bill 1398 in House Committee Room 112. Signing of bills. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, just give you a quick update. You've heard that we're going to have conference committees at 1:30 and 1:45. So with that, Madam President, I'm going to move that the Senate recess until 2 p.m.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will recess until 2 p.m. later today. And before I drop the gavel on that, there is an announcement. Mr. Majority
Yes,
Leader.
thank you, Madam President. I neglected to mention that the Judiciary Committee will meet immediately upon recess here in Senate Committee Room 352 to consider Senate Bill 220. Judiciary Committee meeting will meet right after this in SCR 352 to consider 220. So with that, I renew my motion to recess until 2 p.m.
Heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will recess until 2 p.m. later today.